channel. Today I have for you 2 fall farmhouse decor DIYs. This is my first fall DIY video for the year and I'm super excited because I absolutely love fall. It's my favorite season and I plan on making a lot of new fall home decor pieces this year. So stay tuned on my channel for a lot of new fall DIYs. But today I'm going to be showing you how to make a framed fall embroidery hoop wreath, and I'm also going to be showing you how to make a really simple fall floral arrangement. Alright, let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. Up first is the framed wreath, and I used Waverly Inspirations chalk paint in the colors Hazelnut and in Plaster. I also used a few different paint brushes, an embroidery hoop, some floral fall picks, burlap, an 11 by 14 frame from Dollar Tree. I used pliers to cut my stems, scissors, jute, and a Sharpie pen. I'm starting out by taking my frame apart. I'm going to be painting my frame, so this is going to make it a lot easier to paint with the backing and the glass part out. Once I've got my frame all taken apart, I'm then painting it in that Waverly Inspirations chalk paint in the color Hazelnut, and I did end up doing 2 coats of this paint. I wanted to make sure that that black color that the frame originally was all covered up and you couldn't see it popping through. After my 2 coats of paint have dried, I'm then taking that Waverly Inspirations chalk paint in the color Plaster, and I'm going to be kind of dry brushing this onto the frame. Normally when I dry brush, I don't use hardly any paint at all, so I'm using a little bit more paint than I normally would when I dry brush, but I wanted to give this frame a really distressed look, and I wanted it to have a lot of white color on it with that tan hazelnut color popping through. So I'm just doing that all over the frame here, and I did go over it just once with this dry brush technique until it was completely finished. Next up, I'm using the glass part of the frame as a guide so that I know how large I need to cut out my burlap, and I'm doing that using my Sharpie pen, and then once I've got that all traced out, I'm just cutting it with my scissors. Now I'm going to be gluing on the burlap sheet that I just cut out right onto the glass part of my frame. To do that, I'm just using my hot glue gun. I'm placing a little bit of hot glue on the glass and then pressing the burlap on top of the glue so that it sticks to the glass. And I am working in small sections so that I don't have any lumps or bumps in the burlap. After I've got my burlap all glued on, I'm going to be moving on to my embroidery hoop. I am undoing the screw at the top, and I'm just going to be using the inside of the hoop, and I'm painting it in that Waverly Inspirations chalk paint in the color Plaster. And this paint dries really fast. That's what I love about chalk paint. So by the time I was done painting the top portion of the hoop, I could set it back down on the table and then do the top part, and by the time I was done with that, it was completely dry. I only painted 1 coat of paint on this embroidery hoop, but it covered everything just fine. After my hoop is all dry, I'm going to be attaching this fall stem to my embroidery hoop by wrapping the end of it around the hoop. And I'm also going to be taking a piece of jute and attaching it to the hoop by tying a knot and then wrapping the jute around the hoop and the fall stem. I want to make sure that everything is attached securely, and this step is really going to help with that. I'm not being very picky on what my jute looks like wrapped around the hoop because at the end of the project this will not be visible. And once I've got my jute wrapped all around, I'm going to be tying it off with a knot and then cutting off the excess jute. Now that that one's all attached, I'm going to be adding some greenery that I had from another fall stem, and to attach it I'm using some hot glue. I just placed the hot glue right on top of the embroidery hoop and then placed the greenery on top of that. And next I'm going to be adding another fall stem on the other side of my embroidery hoop, and I'm going to be doing it the same as I did the first one. I'm wrapping the end of the stem around the hoop, and then I'm going to be attaching the jute over top of that. And for this one I did cut off the cotton part of it because I only wanted 1 cotton piece on this wreath. And again, I'm not being too picky on how I'm wrapping the jute around the hoop because you will not see this in the end. And once I've got the jute all wrapped around, I am going to be hot gluing another piece of greenery to the other side of the hoop. And I originally was going to put some pumpkins on here, but I decided to leave them out this time. Now that I have my wreath all made, I'm putting my picture frame back together, and as you can see here, I have a little bit of excess burlap that was popping through, but by pushing down on the backing of the frame, it ended up fitting just fine. Now I'm placing my wreath in the center of my frame before I start hot gluing it down. I'm putting the hot glue at the very top of the hoop, on the two sides, and on the bottom. And I'm just doing a little bit of hot glue right on top of the burlap, and then I'm pressing the hoop on top of the glue to attach it to the frame. I'm not using a lot of glue because I don't want it to smush out past the hoop and have a really messy look. I've got my wreath all attached to the frame, and I originally was going to leave it just like this, but then I decided that it needed a bow on the top of the hoop. And to do that, I'm taking two pieces of jute and just making a bow out of them, and then I'm going to be attaching it with hot glue. I'm placing my glue in the center of the embroidery hoop and then placing the bow on top of the glue to attach it to the hoop, and any extra jute pieces that were hanging that were a little too long, I cut off as well. This DIY is all finished, so let's move on to the floral arrangement. For this one, I'm going to be using the Waverly Inspirations chalk paint in the colors Plaster and in Truffle. I'm also going to be using some fall florals, this black and white buffalo check ribbon, a paintbrush, floral foam, this tin vase from Dollar Tree, my hot glue gun, pliers to cut my stems because I don't have wire cutters, and some scissors. To start out, I'm taking the Waverly Inspirations chalk paint in the color Plaster, and I'm lightly painting that onto the vase. I put paint on my brush and then took off the excess paint with a piece of paper towel before I started painting it on. I still want some of that tin color to pop through. I want to have a lot of dimension to this vase. I'm painting this on in all different directions. This is really going to help give me that weathered, aged look that I'm going for. And once this white color paint is completely dry, I'm taking the Waverly Inspirations chalk paint in the color Truffle, and I'm painting this on the same way I did the white paint. I'm putting paint on my paintbrush and then wiping off the excess paint on a piece of paper towel before I start painting it on. And by adding this second color, it's really going to give me a lot of dimension to the vase and help with that weathered, aged look that I'm going for. Once I have my vase all painted and it's fully dried, I'm going to be placing in some floral foam in the inside of my vase so that it's ready for me to place in my flowers. Now I'm taking my pliers and cutting the stems of my sunflowers so that they're easier to place in my foam that's inside of my vase. These ones I think I got from Hobby Lobby last year, but you can use any kind of flowers that you want. Once I've got my stems all cut, I'm simply going to be placing them inside of my vase and pushing them into that floral foam that I've already put inside of my vase. Once I have the sunflowers all in my vase, I'm going to be taking some of these stems that I picked up from Dollar Tree and I'm ripping them apart and then just cutting off the extra wire so that I had a few more bundles to put in my vase, and I'm just pushing those into the floral foam just like I did the sunflowers. Now that I've got all of my flowers placed inside of my vase, I'm going to be taking this black and white buffalo check ribbon that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and I'm measuring it around the very top of my vase because I'm going to be gluing it over top of that jute. I'm placing a little bit of hot glue on the back of the vase, and then I'm just wrapping the ribbon around and gluing the end piece over top of the already glued on piece of ribbon. And that is the last step for this DIY floral arrangement. I really love how in both of these DIYs you can switch up the florals and the ribbon and really make it your own. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of all of my future videos. As always, thank you so much for watching.